Hi, this is Eric Bourne with Harrisburg Area Community College. I'm doing another grammar exercise today, and today we're going to be looking at the topic of sentence fragments. We're going to be looking at identifying them in our essays and learning some strategies for correcting them. The worksheet that you'll need is on desire to learn. Make sure to use that as you follow along for notes. Let's dive in. First off, we're going to need to return to some of our concepts from the first lecture in our series on the basic sentence. As a reminder, your three basic elements of any sentence are its subject, its verb, and the way that it completes its thought. In order for a sentence to be complete, it needs to have all of those things happening. This allows us to define what a sentence fragment is. A sentence fragment, quite simply, is a sentence which is missing one or more of those three elements of a basic sentence. It's not providing one or more of those things. Maybe it doesn't have a subject. Maybe it doesn't have a verb. Maybe it has those elements, but it's not completing its thought. And we'll even see examples today of sentences which managed to not provide you with all three of those things. Correcting a fragment. You have two basic strategies here. You can correct a sentence fragment by adding to it what it's missing, or by attaching the fragment to a nearby complete sentence. Say your sentence is missing its subject. The easy fix is to add the subject that it's missing. Look at its context, figure out what it's not telling you, add that word in. Oftentimes, however, you're writing in the context of a larger essay. You don't have one sentence by itself. The fragments usually happen nearby sentences that they really should be a part of. And so often we correct fragments by attaching them, by combining their content with the content of something nearby that is complete. Identifying fragments is usually the hard part. Correcting isn't too bad if you know a sentence is a fragment. But spotting it to begin with, that's the part of this process that's probably going to take you the longest to develop. We're going to look at 4 ways that you can spot a fragment. 4 different things that might happen at the start of a sentence that could indicate a problem. Sentences which are fragments often start with a prepositional phrase. That is an opening strategy that sometimes leads us astray. Sentences which are fragments also often start with a dependent word. This is a group of words that we're definitely going to be spending a lot of time with this semester. We'll return to them again. We also have fragments which start with an ing form of verb, a verb ending in ing. The fancy term for this is gerund. And finally, we have some fragments that start with the word to followed by a verb. And this form, the fancy term, is an infinitive. We're going to be going through some examples of sentences which follow these patterns and talking about what they're missing and how we might go about correcting them. The first example, and once again these examples are on your worksheets, is a sentence here. Over the river and through the woods. A popular line from a Christmas song, but not by itself a complete sentence. This is a sentence starting with a prepositional phrase. The word over is a preposition, and actually so is the word through. Now, as you'll recall from our study on subjects, the subject of your sentence is never part of a prepositional phrase. Over what? Over the river. That means that river, despite being a perfectly good noun, can't be the subject of this sentence. Similarly, we have through. Through what? Through the woods. Through the woods being our prepositional phrase. And once again, woods can't be the subject of our sentence. Evaluating what we have so far, then, we have to note that this sentence is missing a subject. There isn't any verb in here whatsoever, and without a subject and a verb, we can't even talk about whether it completes its thought. This sentence is missing all 3 of our basic elements. This is a fragment which needs a lot of work. For our second example, because the mail didn't come today. This sentence is a little bit different. It's still a fragment, this time because it starts with a dependent word. Now your book, if you'll use your index, it gives you a couple of handy charts of different dependent words. A very common one is the word because. The word because makes a certain promise to your reader. It says, okay, I'm going to show you a cause and effect relationship between two things. Because of that, because starts a sentence that isn't simple, that isn't basic. It has two parts. But that's not what we see right here. We only see a simple short sentence that doesn't say enough. Now the sentence does have a subject and a verb. We see the word mail as a subject. It didn't come, that's our verb. But it fails on the complete thought. In order for this sentence to complete, you would need to go on. You need to say more, perhaps. Because the mail didn't come today, comma, I missed my paycheck. That's a possibility. Let's consider another example, another one that starts with a dependent word. While you were shopping for groceries. Now, once again, we have a sentence starting with a dependent word, this word while. Now, while acts fairly similarly to because in that it makes a promise to your reader that it's going to tell you what happened while something else was going on. So this sentence is saying, all right, I'm going to tell you what was happening while you were shopping for groceries. But it doesn't follow through on that promise. It makes a claim to your reader. It makes an expectation that it doesn't follow up on. Once again, it has a subject. It has a verb. We have the word you. It's a pronoun, perfectly acceptable as a subject. Were shopping is its verb. But we can't say it completes its thought because of that word while at the beginning, which isn't followed up on. To complete the sentence, once again, we'd need to go on. Perhaps, while you were shopping for groceries, comma, I was playing video games. That would be complete. Two more examples. First, we start here with jogging across the campus. This sentence starts with an odd kind of word called a gerund, this ing form verb. These are a really weird part of speech. They appear in many different ways in sentences. Now, briefly, how we consider them in terms of fragments is that you can think of it as a verb, jogging, but it can't be the only verb in the sentence. Looking at what we have here, we're either missing a subject or we're missing a verb. Either way, we can't say that it completes its thought. Try this. If you want jogging to be the verb of your sentence, who is jogging? Your subject needs to be the person jogging. The only noun in our sentence is campus. Campuses clearly do not jog. You need a person in the sentence. You might write, Scott is jogging across the campus. You added the word Scott. You also added the word is. You needed to add another verb to the sentence to make it work. On the other hand, you could also think about the word jogging as your subject. And you want to tell me something about what jogging across the campus is like. We could add a verb to the end of what we have here. Jogging across the campus is a healthy activity. Is a healthy activity. We had the word is, we're adding a verb to this, and then we're completing the thought that we start there with that verb. Lots of options for correcting, but notice that we're always adding another kind of verb to the sentence to make it work. Last example. We're going to look at one of these sentences that starts with an infinitive, this combination of the word to followed by a verb. Now, we have a similar situation to that last one with an ing. But this sentence really doesn't work in any account. We don't have a subject, we don't have a verb, we don't complete the sentence's thought. Now, think of it this way. If you want open to be your verb, you need your subject to be the person opening. So you're going to need to add a person to the sentence. Pickle jar is an opening itself. So maybe Bob is going to start the sentence. Bob, I don't know, wants to open a pickle jar. Bob is going to open a pickle jar. We had to add a subject, we had to add a verb to make that work. Or on the other hand, maybe this fragment here is giving our reader some instructions. They want to help you open pickle jars. To open a pickle jar, they might start, you need a strong grip. Notice what we're adding there. To open a pickle jar, you need. You, a subject, a verb, need a strong grip. We had to add everything to the sentence here to make this work. Hope this was helpful for you in diving into sentence fragments. There's some exercises on the back side of your worksheet asking you to look at two sentences, find the fragment, and correct it. There are lots of possibilities for how you can go about doing this correction. Talk to me in class if you have